Woman to woman, you lift me up. I hope that I can do the same for you. You were there when no one else would. Take the burden away, that's how we do. Sister, I need you to walk with me on this journey. Yes, hold me accountable, cause sometimes I need to know the truth. Sister, I love you. We're one and the same, cause we're sharing the pain of the world as we know it to be.
Welcome, 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 everybody. Welcome to the Woman to Woman show. We are so excited to be here as usual. If this is your first time tuning in, this is the Woman to Woman show where we come to just share our truth. It is a mature setting for mature women and just a safe space for us to try to heal, motivate, encourage, and inspire. It is a place where you can come to get nurtured, where you can share experiences, and we just want to love on you. I'm Trey Kearney. I'm here with my girl, Monetta Fields, Regina Howard, and Shayla Williams. This is our co-host. We have other co-hosts. We'll bring them in when they come. So our topic tonight, this is going to be a really good topic because as women, we know that we go through stuff and we try to get through it. We try to be positive and motivated through it. And sometimes it's not always that. So our topic tonight is betrayal. Have you ever been betrayed by a friend? So we want to talk about that tonight. So come on in, ladies, and say hello.
Hi, everyone.
Good evening, everyone. We're grateful that you're here.
Hi, everybody. Glad you're here.
Good
So
evening.
let's get right in. Go ahead, Gina.
I'm just going to say good evening.
Gina, you're so silly. Your lighting is great tonight, honey. We just want to tell you that. So let's get right into this. The question tonight is, have you ever been betrayed by a friend? So we'll take it around the room and let's start with you, Shayla.
Ooh, yes.
Let's talk about that just a little.
I'm sorry?
I said, let's talk about it just a little bit, please.
Yes. Well, the most recent betrayal was actually a couple of years ago, was someone that I was actually seeing, but we had become friends first. And then through a series of events, turned out that there was lies told. And when I found out what was going on, I realized that I had been lied to throughout most of the relationship. And so what hurt me the most was the fact that we had talked about being honest. We had talked about, just telling the truth and things. Like, we had many conversations. And so when I found out what was going on, what really devastated me was the betrayal of my trust. And that, all the conversations that we had, it almost seemed like I was talking to air because it didn't mean anything. I was lied to, and most of all, it was my trust, that the trust that I gave this person, that was completely, taken for granted. And yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that trust thing, boy. Once that trust is crumpled up, it's hard to bounce back from that. So have you, I'm just going to ask you a question because it's just on my mind right now. Have you forgiven the person?
Almost there. Hey, tell the truth and shame the devil.
Right. Yes.
I think, whenever the name comes up, and if I don't do this, then I'll know that I'm over it completely. But for the most part, I haven't really given it much of a thought, because at the end of the day, that situation, I realized, wasn't about that person, but really was about a lesson that I needed to learn personally. And careful when you pray and you ask God to show you things, because he will. And so there was something I needed to learn about myself during that process. It was painful. I think it was one of the most painful experiences I've gone through to date. It was really like mourning a death, because that relationship died. And because I had put so much trust in this person knew so much about me. I shared everything, my business, my personal feelings, just everything. I felt I could be myself with that person. And once I was betrayed, it just felt like someone died. It felt like they died. So yeah, I'm just about there. But I focus on the fact that it was more about the lesson that I needed to learn about Shayla and
Wow.
where I needed to go after that, and
Wow.
not give that person, you know.
That's
So
it. I
yeah.
love it. Thank you for your transparency, because most people
Sure.
always want to say, "Oh, I forgave the person." Just because you say it don't mean it's true. And so many people
Mhm.
want to be politically correct to say they forgave a person rather than being honest with themselves. Because for me, you guys know I always say this: truth plus transparency equals healing.
Super human.
Because you
Mhm.
only lying to yourself when you saying, "Oh, I forgive this person." There's something about being truthful and honest. And another thing you said that I want our people to hear, our audience to hear, is be careful what you ask God to show you. Because be ready. Because once you say yes to him and you say, I really want to know, he gonna show up. Ladies,
Yep.
anybody else want to jump in?
Um, yeah, I think my experience was someone I thought was a friend, and they were a colleague of mine. And when you work with someone, you spend most of your daytime hours with a person, and so you develop a rapport. Hopefully, it works well for the work relationship. But I also thought that we were friends, and I found out, unfortunately, it wasn't the case. And so much so that I felt like she climbed over me and
Whoa,
it used my friendship or the fact of how I am as a person um, to help move her ahead. And at the very least, she didn't stand up for me when I was in the right. And so that bothered me because I still had to work with that person. And I had to adjust my temperament on how to deal with someone that I felt betrayed me as a woman and as a professional and as a friend. And it took me a while to work that out because I just couldn't get why this person was the way they were, especially when I really had a fondness for her. I had a respect and a fondness for her, but it definitely was not mutual. So that was a hard lesson to learn.
wow. Whoa,
Yeah,
whoa,
yeah,
wow.
yeah.
So, one thing I'm learning, and any of the ladies, you guys can answer this. One thing I'm learning is that a lot of times we throw the word around friend real loosely, right? Like we don't take enough time to actually get to know a person, because when we like somebody, when we use that word, I clicked with her a lot.
Right.
In my At 52 now, for the last maybe 5 years, I've been real skeptical about who I call my friend. And I always say this too, that if I can count how long we've known each other in months, I'm not too beat to fight for you, right? Because my friends, like I've known, and you guys have surpassed me being able to count y'all in months, and I thank God for that, because y'all have passed one of my tests, because we have to vet people. But my oldest and dearest friends that I have is four of them. I call them my core four. We've been friends for over 40 years. So everybody don't get in that space like that. And
Right.
my mom taught all of our moms taught us this. I know each and every one of our mothers said this to us when we went to school. You go to school to learn, not to make friends.
Yeah.
Okay? So when we get into these work environments and partnerships, even business partnerships, sometimes we tend to blur the lines, or we tend to cross boundaries that we never should have crossed in the first place. You wanted to say
Mhm.
something, Tina?
Who me?
Oh, I thought you wanted to say something. I
No,
thought you
no,
chimed.
but that's what happened. I did blur the line. Because the person has some characteristics of a family member of mine that I love dearly. I call her my big sis, and we were raised like sisters, and we're first cousins. And she had a lot of those characteristics, but what she didn't have was the integrity
Oh,
and the sincere love for me that my my cousin slash sister has for me. And I got caught up in some of the characteristics of who she represented in the person that's close to me. And I didn't take long enough to see her play herself out. Had I
Mm.
had I done that, I would have reeled it in and been like, okay, she's okay for us that's concerned, but I see how she gets down professionally. So I need to monitor myself and not get overly invested, because the way she moves is about the ladder she's climbing and how she gets there. And if it's a real friendship, you don't do certain things in a real friendship, whether you work with them or not. That wasn't the case. So I had to redefine, to your point, what I thought friends were, and make sure that there was some type of vetting of
Yes.
how you stand up, and understanding that what a person does to one person, and especially at work, trust and believe. If they're about climbing a ladder, one time you're going to be one of those rings on the ladder that get climbed over too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They will step on their mama. Netta, have you dealt with betrayal? I know for us as women, there are women who are in our lives that are catty, and I know that you have a daughter. So have you dealt with betrayal yourself, and have you dealt with dealing with your daughter with betrayal? Because because we got to carry it over to make sure that the lessons that we learn, that our babies don't have to go, even though they will, but we try to be like, listen,
Right.
when you see this or see that, have you dealt with any of this?
Absolutely. So I guess I'll give a little more details to my story. So I relocated to the area that I live in now after graduating college. So I came
Oh no.
not necessarily having the skill set to vet these older women that I was working with, because I relocated for a position. And
Oh,
so coming here, not knowing very many people, and from the South, we're just friendly. And so I had the expectation that everybody was friendly, like I was friendly. And it was pure. It had no strings attached. So in this corporate environment, working with lots of different departments, lots of different people, and then in the course of that, a mutual colleague introduced me to who is now my husband. And so in the course of that, turned out some of the females were not excited for our relationship to move forward, and
wow.
to engagement and then the wedding. So family members connected with two individuals that I worked with to coordinate a bridal shower. Well, unbeknownst to me, I mean, I didn't know about it because it was a surprise. And so people weren't really talking about it. And two individuals used that to their advantage. So much so that they sabotaged the entire bridal shower, and the colleagues that were invited never received their invitations. So we get to this bridal shower, and there are half the attendees that were expected to be there. And so they just sabotaged the whole thing. And so it was a very hurtful experience, because I had, hung out with these people. They had been to my home, I'd been to theirs. I thought that it was a friendship, but the whole time it was to get to know me better so that they could figure out how to sabotage what was happening in my life.
Wow.
Yeah. And so in regards to my daughter, absolutely. And I'm very mild mannered. I'm very calm. I'm also a mama bear. Um, and she has definitely gone through some things, and I tried my best to prepare her based on my experiences. But as you stated, they're going to have their own experiences, and we just have to be there to provide the guidance and wisdom that we can. In her particular situation, it was somebody who, for lack of a better word, was jealous of the person she is. And again, tried to get close to her and did, only to turn and find out later that they really weren't a friend. And so it's hard to scrape your child up and help them in those situations, but you do. And I'm grateful for it, for her and for me, because we walked through some things together. We both learned together because it was new to me as a mom and new to her as a child. So we definitely learned a lot of lessons about friendship. And like you said, that's a term at this age. So the me today would have seen some things if, it was me back then.
Yes.
But it's okay. I'm able to take those lessons and hold on to them as well as pass them on. So pay it forward to other young ladies.
I love it, love it, love it. Let me just listen. There's so many nuggets that you gave there. This word jealousy is usually the root of these betrayals of friendships. Like we let people close to us.
Mm-hmm.
And what we don't realize is we have this spirit. And I'm not saying that we are a fly, we all that, but we are. But I don't mean it in an egotistical way. I'm saying that when people come close to us, remember the movie Single White Female? We always have to be, aware of the fact that some people are going to latch onto our light. They're going to hitch their wagon to our star. And when they see that they can't be us, it can be a malicious thing. So I'll talk a little bit about my betrayal. And mine was similar to Shayla's. It was my ex. When we broke up, I was more hurt because I thought he was my homeboy, like really deep down hurt because he was my friend. I knew him, basically my whole life, and that's a whole nother story, but we won't get into details of that. But I've known him probably since I was around 7 or 8 years old. And even though I didn't mind us not being romantic anymore, it was the fact that I really thought that that was my friend. And when all was said and done, I missed the romantic part to some degree, but I missed my friend. And again, like Shayla said, and I teach this in one of my courses, a breakup is a death of a relationship, right? And we go through the grieving stages of denial. We go through the grieving stages of anger. We go through the grieving stages of depression. And we have to get to a point where we finally get to acceptance. And once I got to acceptance, I was okay. But I was more devastated that my friend was treating me bad. Like my friend wouldn't speak to me and I couldn't understand why. So I had to really just come to terms and give myself closure and say, and even in my course, accepting the fact that it's over. And a lot of times in these situations where our friendships end unexpectedly, it doesn't have anything to do with us. If we were a good friend, it has to do with the other person. And I love one thing, and that's on my notes here, is when we get to a point of we take our own level of accountability, right? Even if we were a good person, we take a level of accountability, again, piggybacking off of Shayla, to say, what part did I play in this? What red flags did I miss? Why did I allow this person to do this to me? I saw some things. And once we get to a place where we're accountable when it comes to betrayal, we begin to heal, to say, not that I'm going to guard my heart like that. Not that I'm going to put a wall up, but I'm going to be more aware of who I allow in my space. So let's talk about the fact now that the betrayal is over. Do you have you, or would you, depending on the situation? I'm sure these are not the only times we've been betrayed by somebody, but
Right.
would you let them back in your life? Anybody can answer.
That particular person, I'll go.
Go ahead.
That particular person, no, because the trust is gone.
Mm-hmm.
There's no more trust because there were so many things, and I have no more trust. So no, I wouldn't let them back into my life. There's been other friends that have, in a way betrayed me, but their actions were not malicious. They just went about things in a different way, but the core of what they were trying to do was really to protect me. But how they went about it, it seemed like a betrayal. And I was able to recognize that and still try to mend that friendship. So depends on the situation. Yes, I can let the people back, but this one particular person, no.
Gina?
Okay. Um, this particular person, I would say no. I would say no because there was so much that I had to unpack, and accept and let go of, that it would take too much energy to figure out the person's angle and were they being sincere, whether it be for a business opportunity or, professional. So rather than go through all those emotional gymnastics, um, I'd
Oh,
yeah, I'd rather not.
wow.
If because they had an opportunity uh a couple of years ago to set or reset the relationship if they wanted to. They chose not to. And I said, that's fine by me. That's the Lord telling me that I needed to clean my slate. And that experience, while wasn't the greatest in some ways, I actually learned how to better handle myself and honor my integrity, and also separate what may be attributes that are familiar to me, and understand that this is a person that isn't familiar to me. So
Wow.
so there was some definite lessons that I learned in that journey, and I wish them well now. I do. I wish them well now, but it took me a while to get there. It
So let
it
me ask
took
you
me,
this
yes.
question. Let me ask you this question.
Hmm.
Because you said the person didn't, they had an opportunity to reconcile, they had an opportunity to kind of sort of fix the situation.
Right.
Did you communicate what you felt had happened, or did you make an assumption?
I knew what happened
Did you
because it
communicate it to them?
happened to me,
Right,
and they were part of it happening to me. And once I realized that, this person is very strategic in what they want and their goals, and while they would say positive things about me, it did not follow through with their actions. Even after a particular situation happened, they could have come back and said, that was work and this happened, but I really do respect you as a person, and I'd like to, stay in touch or what have you. That didn't happen. And I said, um, okay, that's good for me, because that's less that I have to deal with, worry about, or concern myself with. I need to focus on dealing with me and getting me together. Why am I going to put so much into what could have been when I already saw how you moved?
right,
I don't need that energy, and I don't need to worry about that. Let me fill my space with something that's worth my time and energy. If it's a beneficial interaction on both parties, there's a sense of reciprocity, sincere respect, and I know there's real integrity there. Other than that, why am I wasting my time? I don't need to do that. I don't need to worry myself about that. I got people in my life that I know love and really care about me. So I don't need to chase after something that I already saw the signals. I saw the red flags. I don't
wow.
need to go back to that. So I'm good.
In your instance, Netta, the young ladies who did that in that situation, again, my question is, a lot of times we expect the person to come to us and apologize, and when that person doesn't, the communication stops. But it's always a two-way street. And I'm not saying that we should, because we are the person who has been offended, right? But sometimes we not go to the person when we could open up the door of conversation with them. So did you just let it go? Or did you feel the need to have that conversation? And Pastor Corey Duncan is here. Thank you for tuning in. And he says some people you can restore and some people you
Some
release.
people you release.
Praise
Mhm.
God. I know that's right.
Yep.
The way it played out for me was, so that was a Saturday, my bridal shower, and I worked with these people. So Monday, I had to go back in after finding out what happened, um, and still work with these individuals. Well, what's funny is, and I guess it's not funny, They didn't speak to me.
Oh,
So they cut me off. And so I had to attempt to still remain professional and get the job done because that's what I was there to do. But they would, leave their area if I showed up into the department. I would end up just leaving things or emailing instead of having a conversation because they would dismiss themselves if I showed up.
wow. Isn't
So
that crazy how and this has happened to me several times in my life with people who I considered friends, but I've learned to not cut people off, but let them go when they want to be released. But this has happened to me several times in my life, and it baffles me when a person who is guilty decides that they want to cut you off or they want to act like you are the problem. It's like somebody stabbing you and then pretending like they're bleeding. So I can totally relate to that, Netta, that, I had a good friend years and years ago, and I did so much stuff for her, right? And I don't want to put the details out because I don't know, she may be watching, and I'm not here to blast anybody. But I did so much stuff for her. I mean, when her career was going down, when nobody was talking to her, she had been blackballed in her industry. It was horrible for her, but I was right there. I was helping her. I was feeding her. I was cooking for her. I was helping her. I was helping her with her children. And I don't know to this day what happened. And I learned this one thing for myself, that it's like a plant, right? Y'all know I love my babies. Y'all know I love my plants. It's like a plant. Some plants, if you overwater them, you will kill them. They will leave your life because of how much because you gave too much, right? If I give my plants too much water, they start to droop and wilt, and I have to pull back. And I noticed this about myself, with friends, with family, that sometimes I can overwater and kill a relationship from over loving or over protecting or doing too much. So that was a lesson that I had to learn in friendships, that come on, you doing too much. Probably even in my last relationship, because again, I could not understand why this person stopped speaking to me, and I had done nothing wrong. But I learned too along that journey of, again, I don't cut people off, I let them go. When a person decides to let my hand go, I'm no longer reaching for them anymore. When a person invites me in their life and they invite me in the balcony, I respect the space
Good.
from me. And I haven't always
Good.
respected the space that people have wanted from me, right? People will show you. I don't want to be that close to you because you're inviting them to your party, or you're inviting them to your wedding, or you're inviting them to your home, but they're not inviting you. They are telling you, I don't want to take up that space in your life. And I'm only showing up because I know it's going to be a good time. I'm only showing up because I know the food going to be good. It's going to be lobster tails and the liquor going to be flowing. But I'm not inviting you to my thing. So I had to learn the hard way to start putting people in the place where they place me in their life. So if you got me all the way in the back at your wedding at the worst table, and I'm putting you at the table with my core, I have to readjust my own thinking to say, oh, okay, you're not core. Not because I don't want you to be core, but you don't want the responsibility of that space in my life. So Netta, I can totally relate to that of they cut you off. And how did you start to begin to, function through that?
Well, of course, it was very difficult because I am a relationship builder.
Yes, you are.
And I take responsibility for my connections. And part of it, I'm early 20s. So I'm thinking, what did I do? Where did I go wrong? And how could I warrant such behavior? I thought these were my friends. And again, I'm in a new area. I don't have a large support system here. So my work colleagues became like family to me. And so it took a lot to show up every day, and still be positive and still find reasons to be grateful and still perform in the way that I choose to perform in spite of. And so I think it helped me learn that you don't have to have others to be successful, first of all. And also, believe people when they show you who they are, like what Maya Angelou says. What's in them will come out. And I just wasn't mature enough to see those things. Because again, I grew up with my family. We all had a bunch of property. It was all family on the property. So I didn't have the skill set to even see this type of behavior in others. I never experienced it before.
Ooh, that is so good. See, I'm from the hood. And again, though, really, I'm from the hood, but I miss when it comes to matters of the heart, right? We miss some things no matter where we're from. And when we are in situations where we are in a lonely space, not that you were lonely, but you were in a new lonely space of I'm separated from my family, I'm separated from my friends. We will drink from a dirty cup if we are thirsty enough, right? We will allow people into our space that have not even earned the space, earned to be in our space. And that's what we have to be careful to say. Sometimes, God takes us to a space for something other than making friends, right? Because wherever you are in your life right now, wherever your job, your calling, your purpose, God placed you there. And sometimes we as women, and probably as men, but we can't speak for men, we come in thinking that every woman that comes across the threshold, there's going to be some type of relationship. No, you are here and we're going to have a business agreement. We're going to finish this project and I'm never going to talk to you again. I don't mean it in a negative way. If we see each other, hey girl, how you doing? Or if you shoot me an email because something else is going on. But this is the space that you hold in my life. Everybody, we clicked. No, you clicked for that project and we have to learn to honor that. Shayla, you was going to say something?
Yeah, just that for whatever reason, my technology is messing up again today.
Yeah.
So I miss some of what you were saying and whatever question you posed.
Oh, we were talking about what was the last thing we talked about? We were just talking about when those betrayals happen, how do you handle them? How do you walk through them? And the next question is, how do you define friendship, or how do you determine who is a friend? I'm curious to know, how you guys, what is your vetting process, or what is it that makes you say somebody is a friend?
Wow. It takes a while for me. It's not like was said earlier, that word friendship is thrown around too loosely. I think people's actions really prove to you if they're really your friend. When my mom passed away in 2012, good friend of mine, she has a husband, 2 children. She lives in Long Island. She dropped everything, showed up at my doorstep with her bag and says, you could call me Maria for this weekend. And she came and stayed with me and my family for, I think, about a week while we were preparing a memorial service for my mother. She cooked, she washed. I mean, she really, so to me, your actions really prove if you're really a friend. The things that you do for one another, even when you're not asked to. So I'm not ready to call people my friend until they really prove to me that they're my friends. And one of the things that I learned, I'm kind of like you in a way, Trey, that I give, and they're not asking, and I'm give so much. And then when I don't get in return, I'm like, well, what's wrong? Why can't I get in return? And the truth of the matter is that we have to learn to, at least for me, I kind of I'm learning to give as much as I'm getting, because or understand that if I'm going to give, not to expect anything in return. Because when you expect, that's where you get disappointed and hurt. So if I'm going to give, I already make my mind up, I'm going to give expecting nothing in return. But for certain situations, yeah, I'm expecting reciprocity, if I said that word right. But yeah, it actions speak louder than words. And I've said this many times, and I've actually like not followed that rule. That's been a strong rule of mine in that last situation because the actions were not lining up with the words. And then I realized, you're saying these things, Shayla, but you're not really putting them to tasks. So after that, I'm like, yeah, I'm putting it to task now. You say you need to do what you say and say what you do.
Oh, I love that. Girl,
Actions got to follow with
you
your
dropped
words.
so many nuggets just now. Gina, you wanted to say something? I see you nodding, girl.
Yeah, I think we need to honor what friends really mean and honor yourself enough to know that it takes time to build a true friendship. And I think when you have a friend, when you can share something with them and you may be having a discussion about something else and maybe you even having a disagreement and that does not come up in the conversation. Like they honored that particular share. And even though you're having a different discussion and you may not be agreeing about something, that doesn't come up because that's not what we're talking about.
Hmm.
And there's a level of maturity that I expect. Um, not that we can't have fun. Y'all know I like to laugh, but there has to be a level of maturity and integrity. And one of the things I'm really passionate about is keeping confidences.
Mm-hmm.
I've lost a job because of keeping a confidence because I knew that person was in the right and I stood for what was right. So if you betray my confidence,
Mm.
you're not a friend.
Oh, that's good stuff, girl.
You're not a friend.
Ooh, Netta.
I'm an observer. And so I need to see a little bit of a track record. So I guess that goes back to time. And my core values, we have to align, the integrity, the trust factor, the honesty, the loyalty. I can't, you have to be kind. So just looking for the qualities that I need in a friend, and then knowing that I don't have to let you know everything that's going on in my life, but you care about me just for me. I'm that friend that goes under the radar a lot. I'm there for a lot of people, but sometimes that doesn't come back.
Mm.
Um, so just and it's a spiritual connection as well. I ask God, okay, Lord, what am I supposed to do in this situation? I am guarded because of experience, and I have to see consistency. And do you say, like Shayla was saying, do you say what you mean and mean what you say? I have to just have that opportunity to look through those situations, see you in different environments, because people can switch up on you depending on who they're around.
Oh,
So, being an observer and a discerner.
People will switch up on you when they're around. Yes, I'm trying to tell you. And for me, friendship, and then we'll go to Sheila on what friendship means to her and what really gives you that know that this is a friend. Me and my very best friend, we had a separation period for I don't know how long. It was a long, long time. It was a long time. And it was because, and I can admit to this today, that it was because of my foolishness, right? I was just running the streets, I was lying, cheating, and she didn't want it at her doorstep. At the time I didn't understand because I was in my own fog, I was in my own mess. And to this, we back close and everything, but it took me a long time to understand. But the one thing that made me know that that was my girl and I was her girl, we have never, ever, 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 ever told any secrets of each other. When we said at probably 13, 14 years old, take it to the grave, you have to probably you put bamboo shoots under our nails or throw hot water on us, you still will not get it. Because people were asking, we had this kind of, we crack up about it. We like, I don't know what you're talking about. I wasn't there. Wasn't me and it wasn't her. Even when we weren't speaking. And the thing that really, really stood out to me and really made me know that, like, this is my girl, when my mom got sick and she was in the hospital and it was close. It was bad. It was bad. She showed up at the hospital. She ain't care about nothing. She showed up like, what's going on? Why didn't you call me? And I was just like, pride, ego. But she was there when it mattered the most. And that is the most important thing about a friendship, is when a person, like Shayla said about her girl, my kids, my husband, they gonna be all right. He gonna feed them kids. But my girl, I got to go. So that right there, and then even my other girls, and I have good friends in my life, and I'm glad you guys are. And there's Tony Little. That is my boy right there. That is my best male friend. And the reason why I know he's a friend, he has always been there with pure intentions. Never ever has done anything for me for something in return. And that's another sign that it is your friend. Like Shayla said, it is those true intentions that she does now. Like, if I do something for somebody, it's my choice, and I'm not doing it for anything in return, because I have the right to say no, right? If I do so, I can say no. So I can't expect anything from anybody. But my other friends who are in my life, the people who are closest to me, it's like when we don't talk for a while, when we do, there's no animosity. Ain't nobody mad at nobody. Life happens. Ain't nobody mad like, girl, you ain't called me and what happened? And I can't believe you. It's like, hey, and my boy, Tony Little, D Moet, these are real, this is real friendship. He sends me messages in the morning way more than I send to him. And it has no reflection to him on me of how much I care about him. I can almost guarantee that I'm going to get at least 2 messages a week from him that says, good morning, God loves you, have a blessed day. And that is a blessing to my soul, because I got a lot going on between Jermaine, being an entrepreneur, this and that. And he always shows up at the right time. You don't have to tell a friend your silence. I'm sorry, but when you're silent and your friends and those people show up, those are friends. Come on, Sheila.
Well, first of all, good evening, and excuse my tardiness. I had it
Hey, girl.
to attend. Hey, y'all. One of the things that I realized is, through life experiences and just life itself, is that you really don't know the true meaning of friendship until you get older. And you realize that it's actually a give and take. It's not just what a person does for and with you, but what you do for and with that person. And if you're like-minded, my best friend to this day, my very, very best friend, has lived in North Carolina for many, many years. And we grew up together. We went to, junior high school together, elementary school, as a matter of fact, but we didn't become really tight until junior high school. So even though we don't talk as often as we probably should, it doesn't matter, because we're still very best friends, and we're always going to have that bond. It's unbreakable. I know that I could talk to her about anything. I know that she can pick up the phone and talk to me about anything, even if months have passed. So, it gets back to, popping in and hearing Monetta talking about consistency, that consistency and that loyalty, that Trey, that you just talked about. Very, very important. And it's very easy to kind of weed those people out who don't have the same interests as you do, because they'll eventually reveal themselves. And then that gets back to you taking a stock into what you actually consider a true friendship.
Come on, Dr. Sheila. The doc is in the house. We're going to call you Doc from now on.
Listen,
she came in like you, didn't she?
Look, when you are open to growth, you can just share so much.
So when it comes to forgiveness, right? Because if we talk about betrayal, we got to talk about forgiveness. And Shayla really talked and was real honest at the beginning, Sheila. that, you know, the person who betrayed, one of the people who betrayed us, because I know we've been betrayed by many, but there's some people who deeply wounded us. And she talked about, you know, the forgiveness part of like, I'm really not all the way there. I ain't mad at you, but I still got a little mile to go. There's still a little corner in me that might want you to get hit by a bus. And she ain't say that, I just said that. But have you been betrayed, Sheila, by a
Oh,
friend?
absolutely. I can think about it a few times, because even going back to how, you know, as long as my best friend and I have been VBFFs, you know, there was one before her. And then all of a sudden, at some point, she just cut us all off. And it cut me deeply, because I couldn't understand why I became a non-factor. But, you know, when you talk about the forgiveness piece of it, as you get older, as you grow, you start to learn that you have to, in order to move on. And we talk about being healthy, whether it's spiritually or emotionally, or even psychologically. In order to be healthy, you have to start the forgiving process. Don't look for answers from that person, because you might not get it, or worse yet, it may not be the answers that you were seeking. You also have to determine what role you may have played in the demise of that friendship or that betrayal. Maybe you didn't do anything, and maybe you did. But that forgiveness piece is what is going to keep you going. Now, look, just like we talk about from being in the hood or whatever, sometimes you got to keep that little piece of, if I could push you out in front of that bus and keep on going, or like if I was the invisible man, you got, do you hold on to that? Yeah, but you can't let that guide you for the rest of your life. You got to let go.
And one thing I've learned is that forgiveness and reconciliation is two different things, because being in a person's forgiveness is free, right? Trust requires you to earn it. And we have to realize that we forgive because Jesus forgave us, and we humans. So sometimes we don't want to hear that. Jesus forgave people, but being real for real, sometimes you'd be like, well, that's Jesus and I ain't Jesus. But what I learned along my journey is there's a difference between forgiveness. Just because you forgive somebody doesn't mean they take up space in your life again, because you have to earn my trust again. Not that I'm not going to let people in my life, because as we grow, as Sheila said, sometimes we got to get to a point where, you know, people grow and they get more mature, and they were in a bad season in their life. And I would never want anybody to not forgive me if I went and did work on myself, because I'm not the same person I was at 35 years old. I'm a totally different person from then. I'm 52 now. I know some things I know, and I would not want someone who I offended back then to not give me an opportunity to have space in their life. And I would expect that I would have to earn that. But we have to be careful when we start to let people in our lives. We have to watch their patterns, and we have to watch the way that they behave with other people, because we know that if a person talks about other people to you, they talk about other people. Yes. So we got to be really mindful of that. So it's 8:48 already, unfortunately.
I wanted to
Go ahead, Shayla.
mention, yes, I wanted to mention that as we're talking about the level of forgiveness and all of that, and as a follower of Christ, and wanting Christ to forgive me of my sins and you know, my misgivings, something was said in that we're all children, we're all God's children, and we all deserve, you know, his forgiveness. And so that was, it kind of hit me really hard when I heard that, because it's like, even though this person did me so wrong, they still deserve God's forgiveness, and for the best that God has to offer for their life. Just as God wants the best for my life and I have a purpose, there's the same for that person. And so I had to come to that realization that no matter how I feel, no matter what they did, they still have that right.
Ooh, wait, that's some grown woman talk right there. But I still want him to get hit by a bus. No, I don't. I'm just joking. But sometimes I do. But then I gotta
listen. There was a period of time where I was like, I need them to feel every single thing I felt. But I was like, you know what? Nah, it's all right. God will handle that.
Look, maybe
God
now
will handle that, and I'm a witness, so He will handle it. I don't have. It's not my business. Let God do His thing. I just go about my business, get myself together, and let God do His thing.
Go ahead, Sheila.
maybe now just a paper cut. We don't want them to go in front of the bus, but get a nice little paper cut.
Oh my goodness. A paper cut. You might want to get hit by the bus. Let's make sure we do it on the right hand and they right handed. So every time they use soap,
Like, ow.
or right now with the hand sanitizer, Lord, let it be a bad hangnail. Oh, yeah, okay. It's 8:50, so we're gonna give our final thoughts. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean it, Jesus. Don't charge it to my head, not my heart. Y'all know I'm a good person, right? And we want everybody that's listening right now. If you just tuned in, you're tuned into the Woman to Woman show, and we're here every week at 8 p.m. every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the New You Nation Network, or we're in our Woman to Woman Facebook Live. And we're just here from our experiences. We're just here from our places of forgiveness. We're here from our places of unforgiveness, to be honest and truthful, to let you know that you're not alone, right? We all have room to grow. We came together to do this, and my brainchild for the New You Nation Network was to give nurturing content, because we live in a world where there's so much negativity and so much noise, that we wanted to come together and do a network that only had positive content, so that we could help people heal, be motivated, have a positive place to come to. Soon, Monday through Sunday, but we kicked off the Woman to Woman show first because we think it's important as women of a certain age that we have a place to go to where we don't have to hear curse words, or we don't have to see twerking, or we don't have to, feel some kind of way about the fact that we are of a certain age and things are happening to our body and to our hair, and we got to wear Spanx and all that other good stuff. So this is why we want to come together and do this. So our topic tonight was, have you ever been betrayed by a friend? And our time always goes so fast because I didn't even get to talk about church hurt and family betrayal, talking about our back. So we'll have to do another segment of family betrayal, because I know we've all been talked about in our family. Somebody has said something behind our back that has devastated us. But I want to go around the room and give our final thought when it comes to friendship and betrayal. And whoever wants to go first can go first.
I'll go first. So in terms of forgiveness, since that's the last topic we were on, it's ongoing, or it can be. Give yourself the space.
You got to say that again.
It's ongoing, or it can be. There's instances, because there are levels to this, offense. There's some that you just let that go. And then there are others that cut deep. And just like the wound takes time to heal, so the emotional wounds, you have to give them the time to heal. But what I want to point out is, don't stop healing. Don't allow it to become bitterness, because then you're dealing with something else, and you then become toxic, and you're spewing toxin on other people because your insides are not the way they should be. Think of something like food, right? You make a meal, you put it in the refrigerator. Even though it's in the correct environment, it can still go bad. You still have to address that thing, or it's going to let you know it's there. So in terms of forgiveness, it is ongoing, but don't allow it to linger. It'll make you foul like that old food in the fridge.
Whoa, come on, y'all on fire today. Come on in. Who wants to go next?
I'll share.
Okay.
Understand, if as long as we keep on engaging and meeting people, there are going to be, hopefully, because of wisdom and experience, we can detour from the hurt that happens. But sometimes it does, and hopefully we have enough wisdom and love for self to not beat yourself up for what happened, right? So if a friendship breaks up or there's a betrayal, sometimes we do a lot of self-assessing and we say, well, what did I do? could I have done this better? Is this a pattern repeating itself? Take that energy to build yourself up, not to tear yourself down. And if it's a sincere situation where you need to forgive, understand that forgiveness is a process. And to go with that, and I definitely agree with what Netta said in regards to there's levels to how deep certain things are. So just as deep as that sense of betrayal or what happened, it also give yourself time to heal. But remember to heal. Don't internalize the hurt and the pain, because it could take you other places outside of that situation that's not fair to you in the life you're called to live.
Come on now, y'all. Come
I
on.
love it.
Yes.
Come
I
on.
love it. So Netta and Gina, you kind of almost said what I was going to say, but I will say this just from my own journey. Yes, that cut was very deep. I felt like I hit rock bottom, but I did go and find out why is it that I was attracting these people to me, because I didn't go looking for this situation. Why was I attracting? So rather than, like Gina said, focusing on the bad situation, I went to seek help for myself and find out where I needed to correct some of my own behavior so that I wouldn't allow these types of betrayal again. And for whatever reason, if I do end up in that situation and recognize it now, know what steps to follow to get over it as much as I can and move on with my life. Because honestly, the truth of the matter is, do not allow all these negative energies really to take a hold of you, because it will take you away from the most important thing in life, which is your life. You're here on earth for a purpose and a reason. And if you allow other situations, people, circumstances to detract you from that, then you would have done a disservice for the purpose that you're here for.
Come on, Doc. Come on in, Doc.
Take the time to move on without judgment. We're not here to figure everything out or figure out everyone else. But you can't stifle your journey by judging others and judging their actions, because the wound is going to continue to stay open. It's going to continue to fester, and it's going to start eating away at the inside. So don't worry about why. I keep harping on why the person did what they did to you and trying to figure out. Our job is to figure out how do we move on from there so that we can get to those steps of forgiveness and healing.
I'm going to piggyback right off of Sheila and say my main thing and the last thing that I want to leave with everybody is give yourself closure, right? People are hurting, and hurt people. And we don't excuse them from their discrepancies, and we don't excuse them from their poor behavior, but a person can only give you what they got. So when a person shows you who they are and that they don't want that space in your life, you don't need answers from them. Give yourself closure, release those who want to be released, and move on with your life, because when God removes one person from your life, it's because he has something better for you. And again, as the saying goes, and I hate to sound cliche-ish, but people come into your life for a reason, a season, and a lifetime. And once we learn to accept that we have our lifetimers, whether you got one good 40-year friendship or 20-year friendship, you don't need a whole bunch. You need, what is it, quality instead of quantity.
Identity. Mhm.
Right. So once we learn that and we learn to give ourselves closure and stop holding people hostage for what it is that we think they owe us, because it's one thing my mama told me, Tracy, because that's what my mother called me, don't nobody owe you nothing, not even an apology. And once I learned that and understood that, because when I was young, I was like, why would she say that? If somebody do something to me, they owe me an apology. Nobody owes any of us anything. So that's it for me. Again, give yourself the closure that you deserve. If you were a good friend, of course, we always want to be accountable for our part in any relationship, because any relationship that breaks down It's two people in a relationship, but you could have been giving too much. It may not have been a negative thing that you were doing. The person may not have been ready to receive all that love. The person may not have been ready to receive all that attention. So figure out what it was, why the breakdown of the relationship. Don't beat yourself up. And again, give yourself closure. So if you just tuned in, you're tuned into the Woman to Woman show. We are saying good night to you right now. We're here every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the New You Nation Network YouTube channel. And our Woman to Woman Facebook Live. So we thank you for tuning in, and we hope that you will tell a friend to tell a friend. Please share this broadcast. Please comment. Please go and subscribe to the YouTube channel because we want to get to 1,000 likes so that we can start to do other things on the channel. And again, thank you for tuning in. And thank you, my lovely co-host, my beauty flies, for all that you do. Thank you for your courage, your confidence, your motivating words, and just who you are as amazing women. And we will see you guys next week for the Woman to Woman show.
Woman to woman, you lift me up. I hope that I can do the same for you. You were there when no one else would. Take the burden away, that's how we do. Sister, I need you to walk with me on this journey. Yes, hold me accountable, cause sometimes I need to know the truth. Sister, one and the same, cause we're sharing the pain of the world as we know it to be.